Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Hemp Hill Farms. That's HEMPHILLPHARM. Hemp Hill Farm, best place in the world to get you CBD. Helps me sleep every night. I am Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
It helped my ouchies last night. Had a little bit of the. Hey, I'm 36-year-old and I'm doing jujitsu, and
They wear you out last night?
my knee was bothering me a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that I've torn something in my left shoulder.
Oh, fudge.
Pretty positive. No, I didn't do it last night, but it's been lingering for a couple months, and for I don't know, past month or so, it's really been giving me a lot of problems. So
There's never a good time for that?
No.
Damn sure not right before hunting season.
no, and I mean it's nothing that I can't live with, but I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, and a lot of similarities going on right now. So
you'll be going to the knife probably next spring.
I don't know. I'm not in any hurry.
No, there shouldn't be that.
I can function. There's some positions. Well, last week we were loading up the grill, and I had a log, and I was like, I had it on the sides, but I also kind of had my hands cupped like at a 45, and then like my left arm just like shot,
Gave out?
just went right like that. Log fell straight to the ground. And Falks was here last week, and I was telling him about it before like that even happened. I told him I've been having some problems with my shoulder, and then like he was watching me. He was like, I was like, dude, it just fucking. I had no strength all of a sudden. So that'll be fun.
Ugh.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything on here. We're going to cover do's and don'ts on a guided hunt. Basically, I've had a lot of people request that. I've had people message me, and we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about everything in the world. We're going to talk about the first weekend of football. The rookie quarterback struggled.
I didn't watch Jane Daniels.
Man, he had he had the best stats of any of them in a loss.
Did he?
But
Caleb Williams had the worst stats of them and
he
win.
was terrible.
But I don't understand why everybody was anointing him. He threw for 92 passing yards. They did not score an offensive touchdown. And everybody's like, oh, told you we were right about Caleb Williams.
The worst was Skip Bayless.
Oh, what'd he say?
Skip's like, I'm telling you right now, Caleb Williams is the real deal. And somebody's like, dude, they didn't even score an offensive touchdown. Their defense scored every point they had.
Right.
They had
Which, kudos, Trevor Shanahan told me to pick them up in the
Bears
podcast
defense?
league. Yeah, with my last pick. 29 points later.
Payne had the same. I guess
pretty
Payne's
happy
got him.
about
He
that.
got 28 in one league because he was telling me the same thing last night. Anyways, the rookie quarterbacks, Bo Nix looked terrible. Caleb Williams looked terrible. Jaden Daniels ran the ball. And I'm going to tell you what I noticed for the fantasy people. If you've got a receiver with one of these rookie quarterbacks, it's going to be a long year. Terry McLaurin,
I don't know about that.
one target.
It's going to be a rough couple. It's going
And it's
to
going
be
to
a
take
rough month or two.
It is going to be until they get into
Halloween.
CJ Stroud was not very good last year, the first 3 or 4 weeks. If you look at his statistics for those first 3 games last year, or 4, Jordan Love last year was struggled. So who knows? But man, NFL, it was ugly. A lot of it's always the same early in the year. The defensive teams win usually early in the year because teams struggle offensively because they don't play in preseason anymore.
Boy, that survivor pool went down drastically.
Our lock, Cincinnati.
Holy hell. But
I think
somebody had
80% of the people in our league were out in the first week.
Somebody had looked at Cincinnati over the years, and they always struggle September and October.
Yeah.
They turn it on the second half. So,
Well,
Cousin Joe.
I got back to Payne for his Austin Eckler screw up last year he did to me. He took New Orleans. I go, you've lost your damn mind. I said, I wouldn't bet on New Orleans. I said they should win. He goes, he changed it to Cincinnati.
Oh, no. You did it.
So
You did it.
we're even. I've had so many requests about this. People ask me all the time so many questions about going on a guided hunt the first time. And I understand that. Same as anything you've never been exposed to, you have a lot of questions.
Sure.
And so people always ask me, what do you recommend? The very first thing I recommend is listening to whoever you're paying to do the hunt. And when I talk about that, I'm not talking about the dynamics of the hunt. I'm talking about the very first rule is if an outfitter calls you and he tells you do not come, we do not have birds, or it's too muddy to get in something, or it's too dry or something, you should listen to him. Every outfitter I know out there gets paid when they do a hunt. They want you to come on the hunt so they can get paid. That's the way the business is of this industry. If they tell you not to come, that means there are either no birds, it's too wet, it's too dry. And over the years, I've had to call people, and I always give them the options. Like, listen, I know you've planned this. If you guys want to come out and hunt, you come out and hunt. We're going to hunt. But if it's not very good, I'm trying to tell you, it probably isn't going to be for a reason. But you're welcome to come if you'd like to.
Yeah, and you will move their deposit to next year. That's
Yes.
the other caveat to this.
Yes.
You're not going to take the first half.
No.
Because the way it works for people that don't know, you're going to pay a 50% deposit depending on where you go. You're going to pay a deposit. You're going to pay the remainder of the balance whenever you get there. Either when you first walk into the door, some people are going to settle up with you. Here, it's usually the last day.
Yeah, we collect in the last hunt's over.
Right. That way, if there's anything that needs to be addressed, you're one-on-one, you're face-to-face with boss man. So that's the time. If you got a problem, you're looking at him and he's asking you how the hunt went. That's the time to handle any issues. Not 2 weeks later when you get home and you've had a whiskey or two and your fingers are really working good on Facebook. That is not the time so that would be a don't. But you're going to pay a deposit. You're going to pay the remainder of the balance whenever you get to the place. So the outfitter doesn't have all of his money yet.
No.
So if he's telling you, hey, there's no birds, it's too wet, whatever the case may be, how about we plan this for next year? You should listen.
Yes, or if he wants to move it back a couple of weeks.
Right.
Like I've had times we've had an ice storm coming. Like, listen, they're calling for us to have an ice storm
You're
on
coming
Wednesday.
from Dallas.
You're coming in on, you're going to hunt Thursday, so you can have travel on Wednesday, and the roads are going to be terrible. Let's move it back 2 weeks.
Right.
And if you call it and you say, hey, my guys can't come, we're going to back it. We want to move it to next year. I'll move your deposit. That's a weather-related deal. I'm going to do that. And most outfitters are going to do that. I'm sure there's some asshole out there that's going to say, oh, tough shit. You know, you don't come, you lose your deposit. We're not like that here. Now, if you call up and if it's not weather related, then yes, you're going to lose your deposit. That's why outfitters take deposits, because if you're not going to be here, then someone else is going to be here. Or if you send a deposit for 12 people and you show up with 6, well, I paid you full for 6. No, the deposit is to guarantee those people are going to be here. They don't show up, they lose their deposit. And every outfitter is different on a deal like that. But most all of them I know have either I've talked to about this or they've addressed this with me somewhere. A lot of other outfitters, because we talk about this stuff. And I'll have a guy call me this year. Hey, Jeff, what do you do? Because a lot of young guys will call me. What's y'all's policy if a guy shows up with half the group on the deposit? So they lose it. You know, you prepared for 10 people. They show up with 5 or 6. Them other people lose it. They don't just roll that into one.
So I'm going to be devil's advocate, kind of, but not really.
Okay.
From the customer standpoint, is it better to underpromise and overdeliver? Or are you running the risk of that lodge being full and you not being able to get your 6 other buddies? Like if I call and I think I've got 12, is it better for me to say, hey, I've got 6 for sure?
Oh, I would definitely book. I had a guy just the other day do this. Not this exact deal, but he
that
booked,
way you're not losing the deposit.
And he goes, what's a private party? 8 people. Okay, we want to book for 8. Now, we've got 11 people that want to go, but a couple of them don't have their money for deposit. We can add them later. But let's get you, if you got 8 for sure, let's book for 8 people.
Right.
Yeah, don't book for 12 when you only got 6 for sure, because, and this happens every year. One guy gets stuck paying deposits for his whole group. Right, happens all the time. And then he's like, fuck, I can't get these guys to pay me money. Well, because I'll tell them, I said, well, them other 3 guys lose their money. Well, it's actually me because they didn't do it. I said, well, I'd get my buddies to tell them that, hey, you lost that money.
Right.
You told them you were going. If that's a good friend of yours, like if I tell a buddy of mine I'm going on a fishing trip or a golfing trip, and he's like, deposit's $500 a person, it's $1,000 to go. I said, okay, I'll send you some money. So you just pay me when you get here. I'm going to pay the deposit for everybody. If something happens and I don't go and he calls me up, I'm like, oh yeah, here's your money. I'm going to send him $500. Because
well, yeah, you're a good person.
And that's why you shouldn't make your buddy lose money because of that.
No, just because you're flaky.
Yeah, and so the deposit deal is a big thing. But that's the first rule. If a guy calls and tells you do not come, don't come, and he should move the deposit around.
He should.
The other question, since we're on deposits, people all the time, well, is that deposit refundable? No, I get that once a year. No, we're not. We're like the motel business. You give a deposit. Now, so motels, a lot of them, if you call within so many hours, they won't charge your credit card. Mm-hmm. We've got a limited number of days to make a living, and every outfitter's the same way. Whether it's a hunting guide or a fishing guide, you've got certain days you can hunt. We've got a 100-day season basically here for waterfowl, and we hunt 90 of them. Well, if you book those 90 days, and then you want me to send your deposit back because whatever the reason it is, I'm not doing that because I would have had someone else here.
Yeah.
You book a hunt with me in March, I'm going to move your deposit around. If you can't come in September or October, we'll work around it. If you book a hunt in March and you call me the 1st of June, you said, hey, work called, we're doing a work meeting. What can we do? I'll move your deposit. I got plenty of time to sell that. But if you cancel it within a month and I can't replace it, you're SOL on that deal.
Right.
And that's just business. And and all outfitters are there. And we all hear the same shit all the time. Y'all are just in this to make money. Well, of course we are. It's a business.
Yeah. And I don't know why hunting guides, I don't know why this is the industry where everybody feels entitled to a refund.
I have no idea. Or for free shit.
Right. Like you don't go, like if you go watch the Cowboys and you go watch your favorite team and your team loses, play like dog shit. What if you're a Cleveland Brown fan and that's what they do opening day? You paid all that money to be there. You spent $12 a beer, $15 for nachos, and your team just shits the bed.
They're not giving you back $500 for your tickets and your food and drinks.
No.
No, not at all. It's just life. It's entertainment.
Or what if you've got a drunk behind you at the football game?
And he spills beer all over you.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just belligerent and just cussing, and you got your kids, you got your family there, and he's cussing up a storm behind you. Horrible experience. You can't get your money back.
Nope.
There's no customer service at the end of the fourth quarter to be like, hey, how was your experience?
And nobody expects it.
No, it was just, hey, I had a drunk guy behind me.
But if you're in the hunting and fishing business, they do.
Yeah, and you got somebody in room 8 that stays up all night and is playing loud music. You start bitching, and I don't know. It's just weird that there's not many industries out there where people are like, hey, I need my money back.
Or they Democrat the bull crap out of you.
Right.
And I do all the time. We get 2 or 3 calls a week from people wanting donations. Mm-hmm. And this year, I've cut it off. I was like, listen, we're not doing that. We can't do it.
Right. And especially something that's just out of it. Like if the guide's working hard, you're scouting every night, you're over good equipment, you're hidden as well as you can be, and the birds just don't play ball for whatever reason. Everybody just they feel entitled to, well, I should get my money back. It wasn't a good hunt. Yeah, but you stayed at a lodge. We fed you 3 meals. You went hunting, and it is hunting. It's a wild animal, and sometimes it does not go the way that everybody hopes. Because listen, as a guide, there's never been a time where I'm like, oh, I really hope we have a shitty hunt today.
Yeah, that never happens.
I want to sit out there from sun up to lunch, call my ass off, change decoys 8 times, and I don't want those guys to pull a trigger. Yep. That's my plan today. Not once has that ever happened. And I've had some assholes that have had a good hunt, and I'm like, man, I really wish this other group, because these guys are fucking douchebags. But I still work just as hard for the assholes as I do for the good groups.
Yep, that's right. And what I was talking about was the people that want donations.
Yeah.
The hunting and fishing industry are the only 2 industries in the country that get hit on by everybody. I've never heard a plumber ever come in here and say, yep, my school wanted me to donate free plumbing in the house.
Right.
They don't do it.
Yeah.
But they don't mind asking, we'll get Jeff and them to give us a hunt.
Yeah.
Jeff's tapped out on free hunts this year.
Right.
We give a lot back. We do give a lot back. Mm-hmm. But I get people all the time that ask me from all kinds of organizations. And there's some organizations that really hit my heart really hard. Mm-hmm. And there's some that I've turned down that have really hit my heart. I mean, you've got a kid that has a disease anywhere, and someone asks you that's hard to say no to.
Right.
I mean, it really is. I mean, that's a horror. I always try to put myself in those people. But there comes a time sometimes where you just can't do anymore.
Right.
But it's only in the hunting deal. People will drive by that lube place 50 times and not think about going in there and asking for free oil changes to donate.
That'd be a good one, though.
It would be. But that guy that owns that lube shop, and I say that, and I'm sure he probably gets hit by a local booster club and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's just so many groups. I had a church call me from Houston the other day that I have no ties to, was going to do a dinner at nighttime. I want to know if I'd donate a hunt to give away for their. No. Mm-hmm. I don't go to your church. I don't know anybody in your church. And a guy that listens to the podcast goes to church, and I appreciate him, but no, I couldn't do it. I was like, no, we're tapped.
Especially this late.
Oh, yeah. We got so many hunts that we give away every year, and we do it early. And we would,
because your book's got you can't give away a hunt now.
No.
It's got to be a March, April, May type ding.
Well, speaking of giving away a hunt, we are doing a giveaway with Looking Glass, and you've got to come up with that. We'll be releasing that this week. We're going to have a hunt in November. We've got set aside for 8 people for 3 days.
That's different, though. You knew that's coming.
Yes. No. I knew that, but I'm just saying that there are hunts there. Now, I'm sitting here griping about people asking for stuff in the hunting industry, but I'm going to ask you folks for this. We're doing our Gold Star hunt October 4th, 5th, and 6th, and we give these kids some money every year too. Anybody that wants to donate, we would appreciate any donations at all. We're getting a lot of really cool things for their gift bags. but we need money for them too, because we always try to give them a check every year. So if you'd like to donate, we'd love to have donations. Please DM me on Instagram or Facebook.
Boy, talk about talking out both sides of your mouth.
I know. That's what exactly right.
Might should have ended with that.
Yes. But anyways, it's such a good cause, and we do that. And we're donating a bunch of that also, but we could use any kind of donations. And we have a lot of people that reach out. I'm just telling you, we are taking donations for the Gold Star hunt right now.
We try to cover their gas.
Yeah. Gas, their hunting license, anything like that we can do. We try to do it. And so anybody that would do it, we sure would appreciate, because the kids aren't going to go without. We are not going to make sure every kid that gets here, we're going to make sure he gets here, he can get home, and we have him food, we have lodging, we have shotgun shells, we have everything. But like, we'd like to give them a check every year also for them. So anyways, we'd appreciate that. Okay, back to the waterfowl hunting, or any hunting on a guided hunt. Very first thing you need to do is you need to talk to your outfitter about what to expect. Because that is one of the things about doing donation hunts is people buy something and they don't know what they're always getting. They think they're getting more than they're getting a lot of time.
Right.
So contact your outfitter when you book a hunt and ask him what to expect. What should we expect for meals? Mm-hmm. I've known guys that went to places and had the nicest meals in the world. I knew some guys that went to Alaska one time. They gave them a cheese sandwich.
Right.
And they ended up cooking what they were catching, so they wouldn't starve to death in the 5 days they were there. Mm-hmm. So contact your outfitter and say, hey, what do we expect? Guy contacted me the other day, said, hey, do y'all provide alcohol for your clients? We don't.
Some places do.
Some places do. So you need to call and ask them. And when they provide you alcohol, do they have an open bar you help yourself, or do they give you 2 beers or something?
Right.
Ask that. Meal wise, ask what to expect. We're not a place you sit down and look at a menu and order. We're kind of like a cafeteria type meal. We serve great food, but it's done cafeteria style, and it's all you can eat. You can eat whatever you want. Mm-hmm. We have one thing at dinner every night. We did pork chops on Friday this week, and we did steaks on Saturday with fixings on both nights. If you didn't eat pork chops or you didn't eat steak, that's what we would have had. If you'd have let me know before, we'd have grilled some chicken for you or something. But contact them and let them know.
When's the hunt going to be? How long do you guys hunt? If it's a waterfowl hunt, are we out there all day? Some places hunt, they'll have a little intermission and at lunch if they hadn't shot your limit, and sometimes they'll take you back in the afternoon. We stop at noon.
Well, I screwed that up.
Or not noon, but we stop. When the guy thinks the hunt's, when there's no more birds that you have a shot at, hunt's usually over. Okay. Some places you hunt in the morning. If you don't have your limit, they'll bring, I think Habitat Flats might even bring you food in the blind, bring you a sandwich or something in the blind. And then you stay out there all day. We don't do that. Some places do. That's something that you need to ask. I
screwed this up one time. I had a guy ask me at dinner, he goes, and he didn't book the hunt. I dealt with the guy who booked the hunt. This was a guy in the group. He goes, how long do we hunt till tomorrow? I said, till we shoot a limit.
Oh,
I was expecting us to be done really early. It was one of those days everything was set. I didn't even think nothing of it. It was in passing. So at lunchtime, he comes in. He goes, well, you lied to me starting us off. I go, what'd I lie about? He goes, well, we were 3 birds short of a limit. And he said, you made us pick up.
Oh.
I go, what? He goes, yeah, last night you said until we shoot our limit. I said, well, obviously at least 9 guys shot a limit in your group. Right. I said, I did not mean to deceive you. We hunt till noon. I said, I figured y'all were going to be done really early. And I said, my bad. I'm sorry. I did not mean to deceive you. And it was on me for saying that, but it turned out it wasn't a big deal. Like, they come back for years and years, but I did lie to a guy, but I didn't do it on purpose. I was not even thinking. I was talking to 3 people at the same time. But you need to ask that. Now, if he'd have asked me that before at a different setting, if called up and you booked a hunt, how long do we hunt, Jeff? We're going to hunt till we shoot a limit or until 10, 11 o'clock in the morning usually is when we're done. I said, when we shoot a limit, we're done. When we get our 3 specs this year, we're out of the field.
Right.
We're not going to sit in the field to shoot 2 ducks. And you take a great hunt and you make it not a good hunt to sit 3-4 more hours to shoot 1 or 2 ducks.
Right.
So, and we like to take pressure off the birds anyway. So we come in, as soon as we shoot our limited specs, we're done. Mm-hmm. Every place is different.
Well, and I tried, because for a long time, it was just kind of, that's another one of those things like, oh, we're going to hunt till noon. But like, we really don't. Like, once the birds have gotten.
We're at lunch by noon here at the lodge.
The way it works here is the birds come off of roost, we get a shot at them. The birds will go feed at a different field because we're usually in the field that they were feeding in the night before. And then the birds will fly back to roost for their midday siesta. Well, a lot of times you can pick off some birds as they're flying back to roost. But if at 10:30, Farmer Joe goes in that field where all the birds are at, and then he bumps them, they're full and they all go back to roost, and I see them go back to roost. Well, there's no sense in sitting out there another hour and a half when we're not going to see anything. So we'll give it another 15, 20 minutes just to make sure we don't have any stragglers. And then usually by 10:45, 11 o'clock, like we're usually picking up. Yeah. So it's not until noon. It's until the guide feels that the last opportunity has presented itself. We're only wasting time, and let's keep things on schedule here.
We're going to be at the lodge at noon because at noon they're going to open up their doors.
Now, if we're hunting like a water hole or something like that, or a loaf or whatever, and you know the birds are going to come back to you, then we got some wiggle room there. But if we're in a field, usually by about 10:30, 11 o'clock, hunt's over, and we are packing up. This is the way that we do it here.
Yep. Every place is different, of course. Another thing is, too, find out what time supper is on your nights in the meal schedule. We feed at 6 o'clock during waterfowl season. And I mean, we try to open the doors at 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. If it's 6:05, we got guys waiting at the door. My wife is running through the ladies are, because something's not going the way it is. We try to be ready at 6 o'clock for lunch. At 6 o'clock, or at dinner, at 6 o'clock, we're going to open the meals. If you're not going to arrive at my place till 7:30 or 8, you need to eat on the road before, because we're going to be picked up and cleaned up. The kitchen's going to be locked up and done. We have dinner at 6. Some places will have someone stick around till 9 o'clock tonight to feed you at nighttime. We do not do that. The waterfowl season is a long days. We're going to get in and out of our kitchen, get you fed, get everything cleaned up and put up so we can get ready for breakfast the next morning.
Right.
And that is the way we do our stuff.
It's that way at a hotel a lot of times, though. If you have a free breakfast and you don't come down until 10 o'clock, breakfast is picked up.
Yep.
7 to 9 or whatever the hell breakfast is at that place. So that's just something you got to ask in advance. We do a good job here. Jeff does. He talks to every group as they're coming in and like, okay, like dinner's at 6. What time you plan on being here? So you usually have a good barometer of, hey, these 4 guys are going to not be in until 8 o'clock. Make them plates, leave them in their room.
Yep.
Pick something on the way.
Yep. And I tell people that all the time. One of the funniest stories ever is I had a group of guys that wasn't going to be until 9:30 or 9 at night. And I told him, I said, you're going to have to be here at 6 o'clock to have dinner. Well, at 6:15, he hadn't showed up. So I called him on his phone and I said, hey, y'all are saying, yeah, we're running a little behind. We'll be there. Just tell the ladies we'll be a little bit late. I said, no, we're going to pick up pretty soon. How far out are you? We're leaving the airport right now in Dallas. I said, you just eat something on the road.
4 hours away.
I said, there's nobody here. I mean, we're going to be asleep at 9 o'clock at night. Okay. Well, my dad was here and I told Dad, I just had a feeling. I said, I think these guys, I said, when they get here, and this was we were still in our old kitchen. I said, make sure they know what rooms they're in and there's no meals. I already have told the guy this 14 times. I could just tell. You have a feeling. Yeah. So the guy shows up and they got here about 8:30 at night. And he come in there and he told Dad, he said, oh, okay. He said, is Jeff here? He said, no, Jeff already went home for the night. Okay, well, we're going to get something to eat here so we can just eat something, get in the refrigerator. And I knew he was going to pull that shit. Just had a feeling. Dad said, no, we fed at 6. He said, oh, sorry for the miscommunication. Dad said, oh, there's no miscommunication at all. We ate at 6 o'clock at night. He goes, oh, well, where am I supposed to feed my guys at? Now, granted, he drove all the way from fucking Dallas.
Past all sorts of restaurants.
Went through Wichita Falls, passed up restaurants, got here. Dad said, there ain't nothing open here but Allsup's. Mm-hmm. It's 9 o'clock at night now. Oh, well, you can't call somebody and have them come whip us up something to eat? No, I think Jeff told you that. Guy had kind of an attitude the next morning with him. I said, I've told you and told you and told you. Well, I didn't realize there wasn't no place to eat in town. Yes, I told you need to get something to eat before you get here. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you have that communication. This guy was one of those guys, and I'm that guy. I try to push the limits all the time, and that's what he was doing. He's just going to show his buddies, and by God, we're coming on a hunt, and they're going to feed us.
Right.
Yeah, be here on time to eat.
Yeah.
And when we're probably coming off as horses rears, but every outfitter out there has these same problems.
Well, it's just a business to run.
Yes, and they've got a time, and I can't have someone sit here till 10 or 10:30 at nighttime.
Because what if you did listen to what Jeff said and you ate at Papado's on the way here, and by the time you had somebody sit here for 4 extra hours, and then they get in and they're like, we already ate.
And we ate on the way out here.
Okay. Well, I just wasted my time. Let me pick all this shit up.
We do lunch at 12. Dove season seems to be more of an issue than anything else is. We eat lunch at 12 o'clock every day. And I tell guys that, listen, we eat at 12. We're not going to open the kitchen doors up to 12. My office is open. Come in. The pro shop's open. You can come in. But the dining hall will not be unlocked until 12 o'clock. And I'll have guys every weekend almost, about the time the ladies get picked up, come straggling in later at 1 o'clock, 1:30. No, we feed at 12 o'clock. If you want to eat lunch, be here at 12 because the ladies are going to pick up 1 because we got to start getting ready for dinner again. Mm-hmm. And these are so many things. I talk to so many different outfitters, and we all have the same kind of, different things that happen. One of the other questions is, and you should always ask before, driving to the fields. Mm-hmm. Some places take you to the field. Here we do not. You follow in your vehicle. I'll have this call today sometime probably. When we're there, do we need to bring our own vehicle? Do we need to drive to the field? Yes. If you're in a small car, you let us know. We can make arrangements, maybe park you a quarter mile away from the field, we can get you. A lot of our places you can drive right to where we're hunting anyways. We're not going to ask you to take a 2-wheel drive and get your ass stuck. It's not going to happen. But you need to let the people know. Mm-hmm. Also, a nice thing is to do is if you got 12 buddies, try to consolidate into 3 or 4 pickups. Nobody out there wants 12 to 20 vehicles pulling in to pull 12 to 20 guys to the field.
Right.
Consolidate your vehicles. Ask a guy, hey, what time are we leaving? So if you go to a place like here that's got multiple parties, make sure that you're in the right line and communicate with the people.
Well, that's the guide.
Yeah, make sure you're with your guide, though. And the guide needs to check, too. The guide
needs to check in. I check with everybody. Like anytime there's multiple parties out here, I'm always making sure that I've got my guys. I see my guys at breakfast. Breakfast here is 4:15. I usually come in 4:15, 4:30 every morning. I touch base with my guys, make sure we've got everybody, that they're not hungover. If I'm supposed to have 8, I want to make sure that 8 people are alive. So I'll talk to the head guy that I talk to I talk to everybody the night before, but I usually go to the head guy or whoever I've been talking with. I'm on the right side. I've got a double axle trailer with a gray Dodge in front of it. I'm the only one on the right side. And then before we leave, I get the thumbs up from whoever is right behind me. And I ask him, I say, how many vehicles do we have today? 3. Perfect. As soon as I see that third set of headlights pull up, we're rolling.
But once a year, though, I'll have someone call me. Now, we've been really fortunate the last couple of years. We had a lot of really responsible guides. Mm-hmm. And so they would work like if Yoder or Blake or Josh Moore had somebody in the wrong, got to their field, hey, I got an extra guy. They would be like, Andy, where y'all at? And they would take somebody. I mean, we worked because we don't hunt that far apart anyways.
Right.
Most of the time. Sometimes we do. But it's our responsibility as the outfitter to make sure you get to the field. But it's also some responsibility to have some common sense.
Right.
And to pay attention. Because I've had guys, oh, shit, there's people leaving, jump in my car and follow. And I was like, whoa, your buddies are right here.
Just chill a little bit.
Yeah. But so kind of communicate with them on the vehicle deal. Find out if you're expecting to drive your car to the field or if they take you to the field.
Right.
Every place is different. Everybody has their own set of rules.
Saskatchewan, they had a van. They took everybody out.
Yes.
They brought you to the field. They took you back to the lodge. In Ontario,
we followed.
Yep. So every place is different.
Ask about putting out decoys and helping with the spread. If you don't want to help the spread and you want to sit in the car and you're lazy or you're very wealthy and you don't like to get dirty, wet, or cold, ask the outfitter if you have an executive hunt. How much is an executive hunt? Rule number 1, do not, when they tell you it's $100 extra per day for the guides to put up and pick up your decoys, and you're like, well, god dang, there's 10 of it, that's $1,000. Yes, it is. It's $1,000 extra for 10 guys to do an executive hunt. Well, how about if we just pay some high school kids in town to go up for $150 and put out all our decoys? It ain't happening. There ain't no outfitter up there with a bunch of high school kids just throwing their shit around. First of all, those kids don't know what they're damn doing anyways.
I couldn't imagine as a guide showing up to the field the next day and being like, what the fuck have I got here? Who did this?
Yeah.
Oh, we hired a kid to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Let him blow the calls and run the hunt then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that happens. I've had that happen more than one time. Well, how about if we just get some high school kids to go to? First of all, you ain't been around a bunch of lazy ass high school kids lately. This ain't high school kids from 1977 that are going to get up and work.
High school kid ain't touching my trailer.
No, they're not. They're not touching our stuff. But I'll have a group that'll say that sometimes. If you want the executive experience, pay for it.
You bring your own shit and you want high school kids to throw that stuff around, then maybe.
Yep.
Maybe, but they're not hooking up to my trailer and doing all that. It ain't happening.
Nope. So that's one of the things you need to ask about. Am I expected to help put out decoys? A lot of places you are. Some places you're not. But call and ask them. Say, hey. And when that means you put out decoys, that don't mean you sit your ass in the car while everybody else puts out the shit.
Right.
And don't be that horse's rear that does that to your friends that stays in the car while they are out doing all the work.
Right.
That happens once a year too, at least.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you don't want to pay for the experience, then help. If you do want to, if you want to do that, then ask the guy. Say, hey, can we pay the guides extra money to put out our spread? And our deal's $100 a day. And you can't just have 2 or 3 guys do it. It's everybody in the group has to do it.
Right.
It's not an easy. It's actually not as easy as you think it is on the outfitters. It's a lot of work on the guides. There's some more logistics that go into it because you get to sleep an extra hour just about.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of things that go involved in that. But that's one thing is ask about what workload are you expected to help with.
And here it's not a lot. You know, we're running 90% of our hunts. It's silhouettes, socks. Those go up in a hurry. I mean, you can set out 100 dozen in half an hour with 10 or 12 people.
Yes.
I mean, it ain't, you're not working hard.
It's not like chopping wood.
No. And I mean, and the times that we did use full bodies last year, I ran 3 dozen a couple times. So I didn't even have like once we got the A-frame set up, me and the other guy that we were with when we were running full bodies, we just set them out. So it's like really, and that's even the way it is when we do silhouettes. Most of the time, the way I run a hunt is if we're using A-frames, I'll show you how we're going to hide first. So if we're doing A-frames and we need 3 A-frames, me and the guide will demonstrate how the first one goes up. And then I will say, okay, y'all set these other 2 up right in line with this one. They're going to be on this side. 2, 3. When y'all are doing that, I am setting out decoys and setting out a rough outline. That way, when y'all are done setting up the 2 extra A-frames, I've got 20, 30% of the spread already done. All you got to do is color inside the lines. That takes 15, 20 minutes, and then we're done.
So you really do like it when we're blessed because we have a ton of repeat customers. They know what they're doing already, most of them.
Yeah, I mean, I still will show that first blind just to make sure because, you know, it's been a year since they've been out here, and I want to make sure that the blinds are put up right. But I mean, you know, it's not a heavy workload.
No, it's not like we're putting out 10,000 decoys or rags in this muddy ass bog down.
Right. Most of the time. Now there are times that it's muddy and, you know, that's a whole nother ball of wax, and
we also pick up our decoys every day.
We do.
Some places will leave them out. We don't do that. So
and the pickup goes by faster than the put down did. So, I mean, you get 12 guys out there, you get 2 or 3 guys rolling up blinds and the other 9 or 10 guys picking up decoys and stacking them. You're out of the field in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it don't take long to pick up.
So, I mean, we're not walking our shit 3/4 of a mile in the mud most times. There have been times that we have had to do that. But 95% of the time, we're driving right to where we need to go, either in our trucks or we'll have a ranger pulling an extra trailer with the stuff. But most of the time, we can get right to where we're going. We can walk around fairly easily, and the pickup and the put down are usually an hour. Yep. Hour to set up, 30, 45 minutes to tear down.
Another thing that...
If everybody helps.
Yes. And another thing is if you've got someone with special needs, you know, you got a man that's had a hip replacement, knee replacement, just can't get along.
Let them know.
Let us know, and we'll work with that. Because I've got an older gentleman coming this year, and they booked the hunt with him, and I was like, listen, I'm going to bring Peepaw with us, and he's 86 years old, and he likes to hunt still, but he just can't get around. He can't do much work. What do you do? Well, Peepaw can sit in the truck while everybody else puts everything up. We don't have no problem with that.
Peepaw sits in the heater.
Yeah, we understand that. We're fine with that.
He's paid his dues.
But if Peepaw and 10 other guys want to sit in the deal and not do nothing, then they can pay for an executive hunt.
Peepaw and his 22-year-old grandson are not sitting in the truck. 22-year-old grandson's going to be out in the cold with me.
But and we've had guys, you know, that and they're like, well, he feels bad, he can't really help. We don't expect him. We're glad he's still hunting.
Yeah, 100%.
We got no problem with that at all. You got a little kid. We don't expect a little kid. We've had a lot of kids sit in the truck. Hell, when Reese goes, a lot of times he sits in the truck till the hunt's ready. Is he getting better now? But you used to for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he likes being in the mix of things. So.
Yeah, but if it's really cold and you've got a little kid on the hunt, and you leave him in the car. Yeah, that's
fucking marathon. It ain't a sprint. Yeah. I don't want that kid to be miserable before we even see the first flock of birds.
That's what we want. We want to make it a good experience. But these are just questions we get all the time, and people have wanted me to address this. And we did one of these about 4 or 5 years ago. Bird cleaning, another thing. When you get down on a hunt, Some places are going to clean your birds for you. It's just included in the price. Some don't clean birds. Some places charge to clean birds. We charge to clean a bird. You come back to the lodge, you've got paperwork to fill out. Paperwork's my biggest fear with the feds is we're going to do something wrong on paperwork. Not that we're doing anything shady or wrong, because we're not, but I don't want to mess up on anything clerical. We make you fill out a piece of paperwork. You fill it out. It's a wildlife resource document. The guide will tell you what to fill out. You fill it out. We'll fill in the species and all that stuff, and you'll get it cleaned. When you leave our place, if you leave that morning, you're going to have the same birds that you killed that morning. Sometimes we have swap birds. If you're in a big hurry, hey, listen, I'm in a hurry. Well, we got swap birds from hunts before some people left. Take your birds, you leave. You pay the amount of money for each bird cleaned, whether you take it or not. You got to clean because that is your bird, not my bird. Because I've had guys do that. Well, we really don't want the birds. Okay, well, you got to pay to get them cleaned. Well, I don't want them. Well, they're your birds. You shot them. You know, if you don't want them, you can pay to have them cleaned, and we'll clean them, and we'll give them to someone else that wants them. But you are going to do that.
Or you can take them.
Or you can take them with you. But if you stop and you throw them in the ditch somewhere, and a game warden calls me in 6 counties around here and says, hey, did you have guys that killed 18 speckle bellies, 7 Canadas, and 4 ducks because we found them in the ditch? Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you who they are, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let them know exactly who you are. That's wanton waste, and there's no reason. If you don't want the bird, tell the people before you go on a hunt. Say, listen, I want to come shoot some ducks, but I really don't like to eat ducks. Could we donate them to someone?
100%.
Sure. You can pay for the cleaning, and we'll take care of all of that. And
you're looking at you're looking at $10 to $20.
Yeah, if you don't, what's
per day?
Yes,
to clean.
And if you were giving it to charity, it's the same thing. There's not a bird that at the end of the year that isn't taken care of here. We've got people that come and get them. They make sausage. They do all kinds of stuff with them, but they're your birds, so you pay for them. Like I said, every place is different, but you need to ask, because you don't want to go somewhere. Well, these guys that shoot these snow geese in the spring.
Oh, I couldn't imagine hanging that.
And you get on with them bangers. And you shoot 100 birds, which is not the normal thing on snow goose hunts. We're going to talk about that in a minute. You shoot 100 birds, and the guide says, "Okay, here's your birds. What do we do with the birds? You got 100 fucking geese. You can figure out what you want to do with them."
Right.
So you can either clean the birds or pay somebody or donate them. But most places that donate them are going to make you pay for the cleaning and donate them a clean bird.
And I would say probably most outfitters have something in place, because if you get, it would not look good on the outfitter if 7 out of 10 groups are ditching their birds.
No.
So most outfitters, but once again, you need to be double sure. Most outfitters will have something in place for you to properly dispose of your birds. So just find out what it is. You know what I mean? Like, we got there's a cleaning service in town you can take them to. We don't personally clean anything. We got a family in town that'll clean your birds for whatever, and they'll vacuum seal. Because I think that we talked to somebody in Arkansas. Who are we talking to? They've got like a whole, maybe it was in Stuttgart.
Probably Stacy Coker.
Maybe it was. I can't remember. But there's a family in town. They'll clean the birds for a fee, and then they'll vacuum freeze them and all this other good stuff.
Where was that?
I can't remember.
That was around Habitat Flats.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think so.
It was a family up there that did the ducks.
Right. So most outfitters will have something in place, either somebody in town or they'll have a service, but it's going to cost you a little bit of money.
Yes, they're nothing's for free.
Not a ton. And then there's going to be other outfitters that whatever you paid, the bird cleaning's included. So it's just something you got to figure out.
But be prepared, because can you imagine being a snow goose guide and you kill 100 snow geese 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row, and then these people want to leave without their birds?
Yeah.
Well, shit, that's a lot of freezer space.
Yeah.
That's a whole walk-in cooler full of dead birds.
Right.
So be prepared and ask about that.
Because they are your birds at the end of the day.
Yes, you shot them. They're not theirs.
You pulled the trigger. It's not the outfitters. You hunted the outfitter's land. You use the outfitter's equipment. You use their guide. But at the end of the day, you pulled the trigger on those birds. They were just a vessel for you to do that.
Yep.
It's your responsibility.
Yep. And so make sure you have that all done. You got the documentation when you leave with your paperwork. You come up here and you can shoot pheasants. We do release pheasant hunts. We hunt them on a preserve. You got a bunch of pheasants with you, and you go to Amarillo and you get pulled over by a game warden where they do have some wild pheasants. Well, how is it you have 47 pheasants with you, sir? Well, I've been on a, well, do you have any proof? Well, I went on a preserve hunt in Knox City with Stanfield. You show them a piece of paperwork. Oh, you got a wildlife resource document. It's got all your birds on it. Okay, thank you. And it's a very simple process, but it can get you in a lot of trouble if you don't follow through. And that's the little things I worry about is paperwork and bird cleaning. The last one I really want to touch on. Well, there's a couple things. First thing I want to talk about to you is I understand you sit in your office and you're an accountant or you're a salesman or you're a doctor and you're the best of the field of what you do. But you know what you're not? You're not a waterfowl guide. You're paying a guy to take you on a hunt. Let the guy that hunts every day run the show.
Right.
And we're really good here. My guides are the alphas on that hunt. And they're going to take care of it. And there are some clients that are very knowledgeable of what they're doing, but there's also a whole lot of clients that ain't near as knowledgeable as they think they are. You know, you go hunt 4 times a year and you get a hunt on the X with an outfitter all the time. You're hunting on the cherry spot every day you go on a hunt. That doesn't make you a guide. Let the guide run the show. Let him call the shot. Don't quick shoot the guide, because when you quick shoot the guide, you're usually screwing someone else on your hunt, is what happens. We had a group a couple years ago did that stuff. The first bird's landing. There's 300 birds locked up fixing to land, and the guy shoots at the one bird that's 50 yards in front of everyone and screws up the whole thing. You know, he screwed up for everybody, and he missed. Let the guy call the shot. Let him answer the questions about why the decoys are a certain way. You know, let the guy do his job, and he can be polite with you and explain to you why we're doing things a certain time, but don't try to take over the hunt.
Right.
And that happens, you know, not all the time, but you're going to have that one guy in camp that knows more than everybody there, you know, and he's an expert. Why he's going on a guided hunt, I have no idea, because he knows more than anyone else. He should be running his own business doing that. Mm-hmm. But let the guide run the thing.
You just got to trust who you're with. You know what I mean? Like you gotta buy the outfitter. You gotta believe what they're doing. So, I'm usually pretty friendly. I try to be most of the time. But I'm not gonna get belittled for 4 hours either.
No,
everybody's gonna kind of reach their limit, and then you're like, "Oh, that guy was an asshole." Well, you've been throwing barbs at him since 7:30 or even earlier. I mean, just you're on a. I scuba dived for the first time last year.
You're an expert now?
No. I listened to what they said. I mean, I'd seen some YouTube videos. I kind of had a feel for how this scuba diving excursion was going to go. But I listened to the 2 people that were with us because they do it every day. And it was my first time. The next time I go scuba diving, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert because I scuba dove, whatever it is, in the Bahamas. I'm just not going to do it. If I do it every year for 10 years, I'm not going to be to that level of, whoa, this is how they did it here. I mean, unless something is, you know, just totally off and not kosher or feels unsafe. But I would never, you know, question somebody on the logistics of something just because I've done it a time or two.
Do you think that's why women are better clients than men? Because they listen, believe it or not?
Well, yeah, I mean, they follow through directions a lot more.
But they don't have no preconceived notions of running the place usually.
Well, I would, and I don't even think that most guys feel like they're running things. I think most of the time, the people that I hunt with every year, I mean, I think this is an anomaly that does happen, but I would say 95% of the time, it's not an issue. I would even go more than that. Like, there's not going to be 2 or 3 groups a year where I'm like, oof.
No,
they really warm me
We're
out.
just giving you the very, I'm trying to think of it.
Worst case scenario.
Yes, we don't have very many of this goes on, but we do. But we hunt enough people that once a year we're dealing with everything I've talked about at least once a year we deal with.
Yeah, but that's an anomaly.
Yes, it doesn't happen very often, and it may be one guy. We very seldom have a whole group full of things like this. There's usually one guy in a group, but it's something I want to address because we will have that one guy that tries to run this stuff. Now, it seems like it'll happen more on a young guy than it would an older guy because
and maybe that's why I don't see it very much.
Yeah, well, they don't push your buttons. You make it clear what's going on.
Right.
And we go through a process. When you're waterfowl hunting with us, you sit at a table, or you don't sit at a table. We have dinner at the dinner table at nighttime. The guide comes over. You fill out a waiver. Most everything in our waiver goes over everything we've talked about, and you sign your name so it's there. We talk about the limits. We talk about bird cleaning. We also talk about the number one question I have asked to me, and guess what that is?
Tips?
Yes. How much should we tip the guide is the first question. Yes. It's a service industry. You should tip just like you would a waitress. What is the average tip? I always tell everybody 20% of your package hunt. You know, that's the normal tip. It's $500 a day to hunt for a morning hunt, lodge and meal. So your tip should be $100. Mm-hmm. Now, You don't have to do that. I've had people up here that could just barely afford a hunt and they can't afford anything tip. Nobody thinks nothing of that. I've had some guys in here that got a shitload of money that tip nothing. People think about that.
Yeah.
But if I've had guys come up here with their family, and I had a guy tell me, he said, Jeff, we just can't afford to tip a lot. I said, listen,
it's fine.
Don't worry about it. The guides will be okay. I'll be okay. Just, he said, man, I bring my 4 boys on a hunt. All I got is $100 for a tip. They'll be happy to have that.
Perfect.
Probably, honestly, they'd rather you take that $100 and spend on them kids and do something with them.
Easy now. Easy now, because I got to pay to do shit with my kids.
That's true. But that's part of the way the guides make a living. That's the biggest portion of their pay. So, yes, you should tip, and you should ask. But if you go to Canada and your hunt's $3,000, you should tip 20%. That's $600. So when you leave, you should leave them $600. If you want to tip more, you should. But that is part of it. It's like going to a restaurant. I know when me and Michelle go to Copper Creek to eat in Abilene, our favorite place to eat, it's going to cost me $100 to $150 to get in the door right there. I'm also know that I'm going to tip anywhere from $20 to $50. So I know when I go in there, I don't ever go, God dang it costs too much to eat a steak anymore, so I'm not going to tip the guy or the lady. Well, that's what they do for a living. So yes, tipping is not required, but it is part of it, and you should ask. And ask the outfitter. And if you want to tip the guides, you want to tip the kit, but like our $100, I split up between the guides, the kitchen. We've got a system for it, and everybody knows what it is. But yes, tipping is a big part, and that's the number one question I have: do we tip? Because a lot of people have never been on a hunt, don't know.
Right.
I had we did a hunt for St. Jude's Charity one time, and a lady bought it, and her husband and 2 boys came on the hunt, and they left. And then she calls me like 2 or 3 days later and she says, was everything okay? I said, yes. I'm going to ask you, did your people have a good time? She goes, oh, they had a wonderful time. Is there a problem? I said, well, they didn't tip anybody. She goes, oh, we didn't know they were supposed to tip.
Right.
I said, well, they've signed a piece of paper and he didn't tip. I think the husband was a tight ass.
Right.
The lady's like, well, hold on. She sent a check right then. But they did. Some people don't know. And that's why I have it on a piece of paper that you have, and it goes over everything.
Bird cleaning, tips.
Everything's on that
Everything
piece of
we've
paper.
gone over today, there's a waiver.
And I really, as an outfitter, I'm selfish on this, but I usually I settle up with everybody when the hunt is over. Everybody. Very seldom. I'll have a guy that's going to pay some cash. I hope the IRS ain't listening to this. But anyways, they pay cash, and they'll have cash from the whole group, and they'll come up and they'll be like, hey, I want to get rid of this cash right now. I don't want around. Can you settle up with it? And I will. But a lot of times we don't settle up till the end. Dove season, I settle up Saturday night. And for a weekend hunt, and we fed them Friday night, we fed them Saturday. They've hunted both times because some guys on Sunday morning will sleep in and get up and go home to watch football. So with Sunday, it's hard to wrangle everybody up. So I do that on Saturday. But my waterfowl hunts, I settle up when everybody leaves.
Right.
You want to include bird cleaning, you want to include gratuities, whatever you want to do, we can do that, and it's all at once. And I also like the fact that if something's wrong or they're upset about something, they can sit there and talk to me. And that's why when someone gives me a bad review or something, it bothers me, because I don't mind that you're not happy. And if you told me and then you want to write something, I'm good with that. But a lot of times, if you'll talk to me with something's wrong, we can work out if we did something wrong, I want to know. Tell me what we did wrong and I can fix it. I can't fix it if 3 months later I read about it on the internet because you were upset because Michelle's bread pudding was drier than you thought it should be, or whatever the hell it is. Hunting, a guide said a bad word in front of you. I mean, whatever this problem is, if you come talk to me, we can usually fix out and I can come to a solution. Or you're like, well, God dang, we didn't do this or that. Well, maybe there's a reason why. And if you ask me, I'll explain to you why we did something. Because we and every other outfitter out there does not want to have bad hunts. I don't know one guy in the hunting business it's like it doesn't want to have a good hunt. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It happens where you're going to have some bad hunts. It's hunting. But we've never, ever intentionally. If I honestly thought we weren't going to shoot a shell or do anything at all, we would not hunt there. But we've had days that's happened.
Sure.
I've had, in 35 years, I had one guy want to have a bad hunt and requested it because he was bringing his wife on a hunt. Did not want her to have a good experience, so she would never want to come back with him again.
Right.
I mean, he even told me, hunt us in a cotton field if you have to. I want her to be miserable. I want her to be muddy, nasty. I took her on a golfing trip. One time she wanted to go. She had fun. Now she wants to go freaking golfing with me every time I go. I do not want to lose another hobby to my wife hanging out with me. Hey, understand it.
Heard.
Yep. So that's some of my advice on that.
I would find out this is more along the lines of like a turkey hunt or even a dove hunt. So we sell, for dove hunting, we sell a 3-day package. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That does not mean that you were hunting from sun up to sundown all 3 days. We ran into this turkey hunting about 10 years ago. Guy was pissed off because, well, by God, it's a 3-day hunt. Why am I not hunting all 3 days? The way that we run things, and I got to preface it with that because there's other places that are different. Our turkey hunt is the same as a dove hunt. You come in Friday, we'll use a weekend for an example. You come in Friday about 2 o'clock. We hunt Friday afternoon till dark. We hunt 2 hunts Saturday. Dove hunt's a little bit different, and even turkey hunt's a little bit different, depending. We're just going to say that you don't shoot anything. So you're going to hunt Friday afternoon. You're going to have 2 hunts Saturday if you haven't shot your birds. Saturday morning, Saturday evening. You're going to hunt Sunday morning. And then that's it. So you have 4 hunts over the course of 3 days. Dove hunt's a little bit different because you can shoot a limit each day. So you can shoot 15 Friday, 15 Saturday, 15 Sunday. Turkey hunt's a little bit different because once you shoot your bird, whatever that number is, you're done. But that is the difference. Just because it's a Friday, Saturday hunt doesn't mean that you're hunting all day Friday and all day Sunday.
Yes.
So find that out ahead of time because we had a guy turkey hunting. He was pissed off that he wasn't hunting all day Friday. Well,
no, you arrive in the afternoon. And that guy, we shot those turkeys right off the bat. And he's like, well, what do we do now? We're done.
That's it.
We do
shot your bird.
It's a one time and you're hunting 2 mornings, 2 afternoons. We just encompass it over a 3-day trip.
Right.
Just like going to a resort in Mexico.
Right.
Happens all the time. You stay 4 days, but that last morning you're in and out there at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're not there all day long.
And that first day check-in's at 4. So I mean,
yes.
It's the exact same, but just that's something that you need to find out. Like, is it 3 full days of hunting or is it spaced out over like I just said? So that's just another question. Shit gets lost in translations a lot of times because a lot of times people are like, oh, we got 3 days of hunting out there. Well, it is, but it's not at the same times. But that's just a logistics thing that you got to ask about.
Check on your itinerary.
Yes. Check-ins here, we hunt here, here, and here, check-outs there.
Yep.
So find that out. Do that. Don't be the guy that has a bad experience and then bashes them 6 months later on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, especially if you're given the opportunity to voice whatever happened that you were unsatisfied with. If you did not tell the owner, don't go to Facebook and bash them because you had a chance. You had a chance to nut up when you were looking face to face with the guy and tell him what was wrong, whatever it was. And like Jeff said, a lot of times things can be explained, but if you just sit and stew over it, and then you see something on Facebook that reminds you of that experience and you're all liquored up and you think now's the time that I should go bash these people. Well, where were you when it counted? So take the opportunity. Now I can understand if you weren't given an opportunity and the owner or whoever was ducking you and didn't want to talk to you, maybe there's a cause right there. But it's all outfitters want to have a good experience.
It's like that with anything though. Small restaurants, you can have one thing be wrong and you can bash the shit out of them, but you eat at a chain, you don't say nothing at all. Yeah. Go. A lot of times if you talk to those people, I don't have a problem with anybody giving someone a bad review or whatever, but make sure it's a legit deal. Just like there's a bakery in Wichita Falls that made some cookies that look like Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And somebody on the left got mad and so they got all these people writing all these terrible reviews from all over the United States. Well, you know what? That place is packed. You can't even get a cookie in there no more. You got to stay in that line because everybody's supporting them now. But those people that were writing bad reviews had never been there. They were just trying to be an ass about stuff.
Right.
Don't be one of these Karens on the board. But anyways, just, talk to the outfitter, or the guide. And like I say, every place is different. Ours is different because we're centrally located where everybody's here at our place. We have very few groups that we meet in town. The guy that meets at just a gas station, he's got a little different deal, because there's no... you lose a lot of the one-on-one on a situation like that. So everything's different. Just do a lot of asking questions and do some, there's so many guys have gotten in this business lately that have no business being in here. And there's a lot of really good young guides that are going to be great and will be in here a long time. Check out what you're getting into. Don't make sure it's not 2 pictures on Instagram and that's where you're booking a hunt with a kid that's got 3 places to hunt. Because this is a tough game if you're limited to where you're going to go. And find out if you're hunting public. And if that guy's guiding you on public land, and there's some guys sitting, I read last year, some guys were pissed. They went on a hunt with a guy on public land, and there was somebody hunting in a blind. There was the guide was bitching. God dang, running hunts up here, and some guy pulls in 100 yards from me and sets up. Well, you're on public land. What do you expect? You know, it sucks, but you're hunting on public property or public land, so you don't own that, and you don't have at least that right, and that's going to happen. And before we get off of here, just a little change up things. Have you seen what's going on in Springfield, Ohio with the Haitians?
No. Short answer is no.
They've I guess they're bussing in 2 or 3 buses of Haitians a day into Springfield, Ohio. Phew. And now I read different accounts on this, and I'm trying to get exactly what's going on. And I've got people that have lived close by that know people, and they've secondhand knowledge. But a lady's cat and dogs have come up missing in their neighborhoods. Yeah. And a lot of people's have.
Haitians are eating them.
Yes. Drove down the road, and in a tree, there was a bunch of Haitians, and they was cooking cats. They had them hung up in trees, and they had cleaned them, and they'd barbecued them, and they were like doing the Indian deal where they just cut the meat right off as they was hanging up on trees.
Listen, I'm not a cat guy, so like whatever.
So you don't care if they come to your house?
Come to my neighborhood and get my cats.
But,
get them all.
But dogs and cats, and now all the geese in those local parks are gone. Ooh. And it showed a Haitian guy carrying a big old grater by the neck, and they're killing everything. But that's what we're bringing into our country. So, anyways, I just saw that and I thought that would make me mad. The car wrecks; those people don't know how to drive, I guess.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't say those people. Those Haitian people do not know how to drive, I guess. And so they said the wrecks have just increased exponentially there. So a lot of prayers for the people in Springfield, Ohio. If all this is true. I know it's true to a degree. I don't know how bad it really is, but you better go vote, folks. I'm telling you right now, you need to go find 10 of your buddies that vote. If everybody that owns a hunting license and everyone that goes to church would go vote, we would have a lot of changes in our country. But there's so many people that think your vote doesn't count. There are very few states that your vote doesn't count. But you need to not just vote for the presidential race. You need to start voting more on your school boards, your city councils, your county commissioners, and get people that you want representing you that represent your values. Because it doesn't do you no good to go vote for Trump or Kamala and then not vote for nobody else anywhere, and you got someone completely opposite of what you think on your school board indoctrinating your children. Mm-hmm. And schools is where a lot of the breeding grounds for a lot of this idiocy is coming from. And it's not just college; it's starting in elementary and junior high and high school. And it's harder and harder. And it's hard to find teachers. I mean, you're on school board; it's almost impossible because they don't make enough money. And another change: Dak Prescott signed his big contract,
$60 million for 4 years, or $60 million a year, right?
I'm reading all these stories on him, and all the people that are mad. That's absolutely ridiculous for a quarterback to make that much money. What about teachers? Teach your teacher to throw a better football.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supply and demand. There's 32 NFL teams out there, and 20 of them have got decent quarterbacks or above decent. The other 12 are on the struggle bus. Mm-hmm. And if Dak Prescott would not have re-signed with Dallas, I promise you there's 4 teams out there that would have probably given him $65 million a year to go somewhere else.
Right.
Teach your kid to throw a better football if you don't want him to be a teacher. But don't complain. I just don't see the problem. It's billionaires paying millionaires to play football. Jerry Jones wouldn't have paid him that money if he didn't think he was worth it.
I don't understand the salary cap. You gave CD all that money. Now you gave Dak all that money. How are they not out?
And they're going to feed Micah a bunch of money.
I don't get it.
It's called
creative
accounting.
Whatever, I guess
they move signing bonuses down. They're going to have some salary problems. Jerry Jones has done a good job. People can sit there and too. That rookie offensive tackle played really good against Myles Garrett. Jerry Jones has done a damn good job of filling a roster up. They got a really good roster. They don't have very many wide receivers. Cleveland is not very good. Dallas is a really good football team still, but that he's done a good job. And so everybody catches shit on him about being a GM. Other than winning playoff games and Super Bowls and he's not coaching, he's given the coach opportunity to win. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm like you. I don't know how you can pay a guy if your salary cap's $180 million and you just paid $60 million to your quarterback and you paid CD $30 million a year. That's half your roster for 2 guys. Yeah. But that's one thing Dallas has done good. They've got a lot of rookies and first and second and third year guys that aren't making a lot of money, and that fills in. How would you feel if you were now you played quarterback, so you'd have been one of the high dollar guys.
I did, yeah.
But could you imagine?
I know my worth.
Could you imagine being the kid that's a free agent linebacker that makes a team that's on the NFL minimum of $1 million a year, which is damn good money.
Yeah, you're not gonna find another job paying you that.
No, but he's making $1 million a year, and then you look across the deal at Dak's making $60 million a year, and thinking,
Fuck,
"God,
I'd be happy."
But you should be. You're playing. You hit the lottery if you get to play pro football for 3 or 4 or 5 years and get paid. You're making good money. Even if you're on the NFL minimum for 5 years, you got a head start on life.
Fucking practice squad. Put me on the practice squad.
Well, they'll only make $120,000 a year, $150,000 a year.
You gonna go throw a football for 3 days and make $100,000 a year or whatever it is? Put me on the practice. Let me play for 3 years. Put me on the practice squad for 5 years. I'm fine. Whatever.
I had a friend of mine 30 years ago, played in the NFL for 3 or 4 years. He was a lineman, and he was one of them linemen that he was pretty good, but he just wasn't. He was a journeyman guy.
Yeah.
He started some games for teams. And he played, but he played 3 or 4 years. He didn't get vested. He didn't make it all the way to that point. But he got invited to go to camp one time with Cincinnati, let's say, I can't remember. And they were going to give him $100,000 for the month.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, man, that just ain't look what kind of made when I was playing. I thought, you're going to make $100,000
for a month
for 30 days and a chance to make the team.
Right.
If you don't make the team, you got $100,000.
Yeah.
Get your regular job. It ain't happening. I mean, that's a really good deal. So, I don't feel sorry for anybody playing in that deal. I just, there's such a huge difference in the playing and I had a friend of mine that played. I had a couple of buddies of mine that played for the Rangers back when Palmeiro was playing there, and they said, he was making 10 or 12 million a year when they were making 500,000. They said, it's funny. He said the old veterans in there that were making big money, they're all reading the Wall Street Journal and stuff. He said once you get to that next tax bracket, and it's just a whole different world. But I think I'm happy for Dak Prescott. The guy's a 4th round draft pick. Comes from a single mom. His mom passed away. He's a good dude. He ain't been in trouble. Not a Cowboy fan. I like Dak. I'm congratulations to Dak Prescott and all them other guys that make money. What'd you think about the Tyreek deal?
Should have been speeding.
They've already put that cop on administrative leave.
That's bullshit.
You think so? Did you see the video of the guy grabbing him though and roughing him up?
Put him in handcuffs.
He didn't just put him in handcuffs. I'm not anti-police.
And I'm not sure it's hold
on, and I'm not pro-athlete on this deal. I don't know what the story is, so I want to hear both sides of the whole thing.
Now that is a responsible.
But it seems to me it's pretty. There's very few cases where you put someone in cuffs on a speeding ticket.
How fast was he going?
Hold on. Even a guy driving reckless that's going 100, they don't usually cuff them if they're just going to write him a citation. If you're going to take him to jail, that's one thing. But I don't know why they put him in cuffs.
Hang on a second. That audio sounds like shit. Bluetooth. Now,
and he might have been a real horse's ass about it. When you do it, you're just asking for trouble. It's a yes or no sir deal.
Miami-Dade Police Department Director Stephanie Daniels said Sunday that an investigation has begun into the incident, and one of the officers involved is being placed on.
Where's he roughing him up?
No. This is not the video of him. If the cop grabs him, he's standing up, and another cop just walks up and grabs him, puts him down. I saw that part of the video. But
let me see. I don't know if I can. Can I fast forward? It won't let me fast forward.
No. And
little did I know that was quite a surprise on the way, man. But you know what? At the end of the day, dog, I got a job to do.
He also added that.
Did you see his? I think they're about to show it here. Did you see the post game or the post touchdown celebration
where he had Jalen Waddle put him in cuffs? But I don't know. I don't know the whole story, and so I'm not saying the cop's wrong. I'm not saying Tyreek's wrong, but for the guy to do something, there had to have been something said. And as a policeman, you can't get worked up over someone calling you a name. That's part of the job. But it's also not hard to say yes sir, no sir, get your citation, because you know what's going to happen, Tyreek? Probably they're going to write him a ticket. They're going to say, oh, it's Tyreek, let's let him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know what was going to happen, but something crossed there, and I'm interested to see what ends up happening.
Says he was cited for reckless driving outside of the stadium, but it doesn't say the logistics of why he got, like, was he changing lanes? It just says reckless driving. So,
and that could be speeding.
I mean, I don't know.
You know, Steph Curry's dad did that and killed and was in a wreck with another guy.
Is this
that
the
died.
video?
No, that's not it either.
That's not it either?
No, that shows him standing. They just come up and guy grabs him real quick and
Treat him like a common criminal, like Steve Barber said.
yeah. And I don't know the whole story on it. You know, I don't have nothing against Tyreek Hill. He's had some issues on some off-field stuff. He's had 9 kids, I think, this year with, you know, your mom goes, well, hope with different women. No, one woman had 9 kids this year.
Right.
So, yeah. Yes. With multiple women. And, I have no clue what's going on. I have no clue on that, but.
Do you think that putting him on administrative leave is more like a safety thing for him?
I think it's just we don't want anything else to happen if he's still working for us. He's on paid leave. If it comes back and we look at the camera and he had legit to do what it is, we're going to let him go back to work. But if he done something out of line, we're going to send him to counseling or we're going to get rid of him. You know, I don't have a clue what transpired between the two of them, but just driving less than 1% of cops are bad. The other 99.9% are great. But you have that one guy, rotten apple, that wants to make a name for himself that feels a little tougher than everyone else. And it could have been a situation like that. Or Tyreek might have done something across the line, and that happens all the time too.
Right.
You know, a lot of times these celebrities and people think that they're above the law.
He did tell the cop he wanted to be a cop after he retired.
Well, there you go. So anyways, I don't know what happened.
I back the Blues. You know, me personally, I back the Blues. You're on the other side. So
no, I'm not on the other side.
We all got lines and we all got teams. So
I said
I
wasn't. I can't make a statement on what happened because I don't know what happened. But I'm interested to see because it went to awful big extremes, awful fast. That guy grabbed him, and I don't know what Maybe that guy's ex-girlfriend has one of his 9 kids. I don't know.
Might have been time to exact revenge.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll find out more. The press is not going to let this go.
The guy might have been a Buffalo Bills fan.
Could have been. You never know.
All right, y'all. I hope we've answered any questions we've had. I hope you have a good week. Be safe. Thank you, and God bless you.
Love you. Bye. Watch for deer. Check out all of our sponsors. Go check out Bull and Briar, Dirty Duck Coffee, Dive Bomb Industries, Pacific Calls. Use our promo code BHB25. Boss Shot Shells, MLR Graphics, Shin Gear, Mitch Hall Chevrolet, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Mallard Bay, Mossberg, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, Hemp Hill Farm, promo code BHP, and Stanfield Outfitters.